Hello everyone, it's Kathy and welcome back to my YouTube channel, Kathy's Random Acts of Stamping. Today I'm going to take y'all along for the process from the beginning to the end. I'm going to show you first of all the products that you're going to need to make this card. I don't have a prototype because if all goes well, this is going to be my prototype. Hopefully it will. We're going to be using two stamp pads, Balmy Blue and Starry Sky. We are going to be using this beautiful stamp called Pretty Medallion, and it is a large one-piece stamp like this, and we're going to be using, of course, our blending brushes. We're going to do some blending, and I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to be using our Stamparatus, but I'm not going to bring it out just yet because we won't need it for just a minute. I'm going to be using these pastel pearls, and I'll probably be using those light blue ones, and also our Amazing Thanks dies, and I'll show you how we're going to work that in just a moment, but we're not going to worry about that right now because that's going to be down the road just a minute. But let's go ahead. The first thing I want to do is I have a piece of thick basic white cardstock, and we're going to cut this down. We're going to cut it in half with the 11-inch side at the top of our trimmer, and we're going to cut it in half at 5 1/2. So half of 11 would be 5 1/2. So I'm going to slice that in half. Then I'm going to bring both of my blades down, and I want to turn this piece to 4 1/4, and we're going to score it. This is going to be our card base. So give that a good score using that light gray blade. That is your score blade. The dark one is our cut blade, and we'll be using that next on the other piece. But go ahead and fold that and just give it a good finger fold for right now. We'll use our bone folder on it in a minute. Then we're going to take the other half of that cardstock, and we're going to cut this in half at 4 1/4. So again, we need that cut blade, so cut up, and we have two pieces. So lay one to the side, and we're going to lay the other one on our piece of grid paper because we're going to do some ink blending. We're going to start off, and I have my blue brush, so I can actually use this for both shades of this ink because they're both in the blue family. Starry Sky is a nice dark blue ink. I would say this is in between a navy and a royal. It's somewhere in between those two. The Balmy Blue is a beautiful sky blue. And we're going to start off with the Balmy Blue first. So I'm going to load up my ink on my brush, and I'm going to tap off over here. I'm going to turn my paper kind of at an angle, and I'm going to come in just kind of blending that ink down on that white paper. Just like that. Just keep going and getting a good amount of color onto the blue, onto the white. And I'm going to go in all directions. I'm going to go up and down and back and forth and in circles. And then I'm going to come back and tap again and tap off, and I'm going to come in again because I want to make sure I have a good coverage of that light blue ink across the top. Now, holding your finger in different areas of your brush, putting different pressure will make a difference in the intensity of your ink. So if you want to grab it this way, you're going to get a lot more pressure. If you want to hold it out this way, you're going to get a lighter pressure, or here, a nice medium pressure. So it all depends on how you hold your brush and how much of a definition of ink you want. Now I'm going to come in again, and I'm going to come in over here at the side. I'm going to tap off, and then I'm going to come in here, and I want to go down about halfway with the Balmy Blue. I think that looks pretty good. So I'm just going to drag that back and forth across there. And now I'm going to turn my paper this way, and we're going to come in now with the Starry Sky, and we're going to come up from the bottom this time. So I'm going to tap. Now this is a much juicier ink pad because these are new. These were in colors from last year, so they're not as faded as these might be. Although I think I re-inked this one. I re-inked several of mine the other day because I had some dryness showing. So we're going to come into the bottom and just give that a nice little impression of ink. Just like that. Keep doing your circular motion. And I want to get this rather dark, so we're going to go over. It's better to do layers of ink than it is to go in and try to put, you know, a whole dark surface down at one time. Layering your ink will give you much more even surface of your ink, and it will just look more natural that way. So I'm just going to keep blending that ink into the paper. And don't worry if you get, if you notice mine looks, you've got that line around the outside, don't worry about that. I cut this 1/4 inch bigger than what I needed it to be, so we can trim off to get rid of that harsh edge on the edges of this. So don't worry about that. That will go away once we trim it out. But we're going to do all of this inking first to make sure we get that depth of color that we want. So I'm going to come in again, right in here. And this is something you just want to take your time doing. This is not it's not a sprint, it's more of a marathon. So just take your time and build your color, and you'll pretty much get it. When you get it dark enough, you'll know. Your colors will blend well together. And we're going to go back with the balmy blue again and blend down into this. But for right now, I just want to build more of this color all across here. Those nice circular motions just gives you a beautiful coverage of ink. And like I said, you know, when you go on, go soft. You don't have to, you know, really dig into the paper. You just want to dab in and off to the side, up the middle. Just keep blending. It's sort of like coloring. We're just coloring with a bigger brush. So we just want to get a nice backdrop for that medallion, because we're going to heat emboss that, and we're going to set it in white embossing powder. And so we want to get this as nice and dark as we can, so we have a nice contrast to our white medallion, because I think it's going to be beautiful. So just continue to blend. Oh, that's starting to look so pretty. You see the richness in that? It just really looks pretty and rich, and that's what we want. I knew it would take a few minutes to build the depth of color that I wanted on the bottom of this. So no big deal, we're just going to keep blending. I'm going to kind of clean that darker blue off, and we're going to come back in with the balmy blue. Sometimes when I press with my fingers for a period of time like that, my fingers want to cramp up on me. I don't know if any of y'all have that issue or not, but you know, if you do, take a break. You know, just take a little bit of a break, and you can always come back to this. So what I want to do now is I really want to get the in-between blended together. So this is what I'm going for now, is just to blend back and forth the balmy blue into the starry sky. So I'm going to go back up at the top here and just intensify that balmy blue. And you can see it almost looks like it has a purple hue right there. We're going to go back in with the starry sky and we're going to blend down into the bottom now, from that middle down. So let's go right here. I'm going to rub off my balmy, get a little bit of that off, and now we're going to tap, tap, tap. Just keep blending. Now I'm going to start to work this up into the top of the balmy blue a little bit more. Like I said, just keep blending your color. This can take a few minutes, so like I said, don't be in a rush. Just take the time you need to get this color nice and dark, just like you want it. I think that looks fairly good. A little bit more right there. So we're going to call that done, and we're going to put this back in the trimmer, and we're going to cut this down because right now it's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So we're going to cut a 1/4 inch off, but we're going to take 1/8 of inches off of each side, because an 1/8 and an 1/8 is a 1/4, and an 1/8 and an 1/8 is a 1/4. So we're going to take an 1/8 of an inch off of each side, And that's very easy to do. Just bring it over to the halfway in between your quarter, trim it, do it all the way around the entire perimeter of your piece of cardstock. And what this is going to do, it's going to do away with those harsh edges that we have where we brought in our blending brush. This really does make a difference in your outcome of your project. So it just makes it look like you didn't do any ink blending at all. The paper came this way. So just like that. And see, now we have all of those harsh edges are off, and we're ready to put this in our Stamparatus and stamp our medallion. So we are going to bring out our Stamparatus. And I'm going to put this little piece of grid paper back in here, just in case I stamp off, and I'm going to bring a stamp case underneath it. I guess I need to get my stamp out first. That would help. And I think what I want to do is I want to put my... Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to do it a little different. I think I'm going to do it backwards. I don't know if you've ever used your Stamparatus backwards, but this can be a good tip for you, as well as hopefully a learning experience. We took everything off of this. I'm going to wipe that and make sure that there's nothing stuck on here, because I'm going to take the sticky part of my stamp and bring it down like that. And that's going to adhere it directly to that. And I've got ink on my hand, so let me clean that off before I get it on my white cardstock. That would not be pretty. Probably wouldn't hurt to wipe my whole hands, because I have definitely gotten blue ink all over me. Okay. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to wipe this off. I think I'm going to do it with some Stampin' Mist. The reason for that, I see little bits and pieces of fuzz, and if you got any fuzzies on your stamp, they can transfer into your image and not give you the image that you want. And where do these come from? Sometimes they come from our, maybe using a baby wipe, maybe using a cloth or a paper towel that wasn't, you know, a cloth that wasn't microfiber, like this one. This one will not put off lint. But if you use a wipe that does have lint on it, sometimes that lint can get trapped in between your little pieces, especially if it's a very detailed stamp like this one is. This is very detailed. So I'm just going to wipe it and make sure I'm not showing any more of that little lint. And I don't see any lint on it now, so that looks good. I'm going to ink it up with my Memento, my Versamark ink, not Memento, Versamark. And I am going to ink this entire medallion. And what I'm going to do prior to putting this down is I'm going to grab some repositionable tape. And this one right here is repositionable, I believe. Let me check it and make sure. I don't want to use it if it's not repositionable, because I believe this one is. It is. Okay. So what I want to do on the back of this piece, I want to put down just a couple of pieces of repositionable tape, and you can see it's shiny right there. Just a couple little pieces, because what I want to do is I want to be able to put this down and be able to stamp it again. That's the purpose of using the Stamparatus. So I'm going to just re-ink that, make sure I got a good inking on it. The one thing I didn't do is I want to use my embossing buddy on this piece before we go any further. I'm going to move that ink out of my way because I do not want to get powder in my ink. And I'm just going to take this and tap it all over this piece, because I do not want any of the embossing powder to stick except where I wanted it to. Alright, and the tape's definitely working. So now I can lay this down right on the middle of this medallion. Something like that. And I can now bring my top over and press that where that tape is at. And while I'm giving it a press, I'm going to go ahead and press it really well. And lift it up. And I can see we've got a good impression, but I want to do it again because I want to make sure that I'm getting enough of ink on this so that it will be beautiful once we heat emboss it. So I can see that we got it really well, but I'm going to put it down this time, and I'm going to grab my little impressionable tool. This is a little tool that you can get. I know there's places on Etsy. Maymay made it. There's several different places you can order these from. I got mine from Maymay, and I am going to just press that down really well, hoping I'm getting a good impression. Now that looks gorgeous, so I think we're good to go. So I'm going to lift that off just like that. I'm going to leave this for right now, and I'll clean that up after we finish. I am going to cover up my ink. That's crucial anytime you're heat embossing. And let's see if we can find a place to hold this. Maybe right along here. This is going to be so pretty and so lacy. So I'm going to grab my white embossing powder, and we are going to cover my piece in white. Look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, so pretty. So I'm going to give that a good tap. That looks so gorgeous. Oh, isn't that rich? Are y'all seeing that? Beautiful. Alright, I'm going to cover up my embossing powder. Get back down here in my drawer. I'm going to use my little sweep. This is not a Stampin' Up! Tool. It's just something that I had in my stash, and I like to use it to clean off any excess embossing powder. And we're going to bring our little board out. I'm not going to use the clip. I'm going to hold it against this, something like that, and we're going to heat up our heat tool, our heat tool. And this is the Stampin' Up! Heat tool, and we're going to put it on 2. And I'm going to let it heat for about 30 seconds before I actually take it to the piece. So let's go ahead and try it. Keep it going in little circular motions until you see everything turn shiny. I think we can do it like this. go. There's the magic. Y'all see it starting to happen? You want to make sure you melt all of that embossing powder. And when you're dealing with a intricate stamp like this one, you really got to make sure everything has melted. And you can see it's almost like it comes to life as it melts. And it takes a little bit of time to do a piece this big. You know, if we were doing a small sentiment, this would have been done long ago, but it does take a little bit when you're dealing with a piece this big and this much detail. So pretty. And I think we got it. I do believe that is it. So let's put our gun back where it belongs. And we'll lift this up. And what was holding that on was that little bit of tape that I had. Now I noticed a little bit of embossing powder right there, but you know what? It didn't melt. I didn't put the gun on it, so it did not melt, and that's okay. That is stunning. Is that not beautiful? This is going to be our top, and this is going to be the bottom. So I love that. Love, love, love it. So pretty. So now what we need to do is bring our card base back over. I'm gonna let this cool a minute before I turn it upside down, because this definitely did get a little bit of a workout. And I'm gonna sweep off my area one more time, and I'll probably take my cloth and wipe it down as well. You can't have it too clean of a work surface, especially when you're working with something like this. I'm going to turn that over because I want to get rid of that sticky. And how do you get rid of it? Just use your embossing buddy, and that will take all the stick out of that. Now it's no longer sticky. That works beautifully. Anything that you need to de-stick, this is your ticket. Alright, so now that we have this ready, I want to put it down onto my card base, just like that. I'm not too sure. I don't want to put something dark behind it, but I don't think so. I really want that to play to the white. So let's get our bone folder and give this card base a nice crease, because remember we didn't. And I'm going to really crease it down on both sides. And then I'm going to grab my Stampin' Dimensionals. Oh, and I did have them just a minute ago. And here they are. And we're going to take this piece and turn it over, and we're going to put probably definitely one in each corner, and then one here on each side, and then I think I'm going to come up and put one here and one here, just to kind of give that a good amount all the way around. I'm just going to pull these off with my fingers for now. Normally I pull out my take your pick tool, but I'm so excited over this card. I just am beside myself. And Make sure they're all sticky. They are. All right, get rid of those little backers. Now what I want to do is I want to center this up as best I can. Light to the top, dark to the bottom. It needs to go up a little bit higher. Oop, 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 oop. Come on, we're not ready to stick you down yet. Come on, come on, come on. Something about like that. I think that will be beautiful. There we go. Ah, there we go, there we go. Isn't that gorgeous? And we're not done. Oh, I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, the next thing that I want to do, let me grab, I said I wanted to use these thanks dies. I need it to be a birthday card. So how about Amazing You, and then we'll put Happy Birthday inside. I think that'll work. So the Amazing Thank You dies does work. So what, you know, this is as crooked as it can be. Oh. I may ruin the card base, but as long as I don't ruin my piece. I can't stand for it to be crooked. It drives me insane if I put something down crooked. So we're going to pull it up. I am going to come back and I'm going to put glue on these. So we are going to just take some liquid glue and put an amount of liquid glue on the back of these. Like so. And now let's see if we can get them down a little bit straighter. I'm going to hold that just for a moment. Maybe I'll just set a stamp case over it. That should hold it for a moment. All right, I think that will work. I think we've got it adhered where it's not going anywhere now, and it does look a little better. We do have a little bit more here than we do here, but I'm okay with that. I wasn't okay with it being crooked on both sides. Okay, that sometimes can be the hardest challenge with getting a card like this done, is getting the pieces down straight, and I'm sure y'all struggle with that as well as all of us do from time to time. All right, let's do our Amazing You first, and I'm going to do that in black. No, maybe I want to do it in Starry Sky. I think the Starry Sky will lend itself beautiful to that. So I have a piece of Starry Sky, and I'm going to put Amazing You, and we're going to run this through our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Yes, we can do that with these because they're small. Oh, I grabbed the big one after all. I'm so used to going for my big one that sometimes I forget that I can use my little one. I'm so sorry, y'all. Okay, so let's bring out our base plate, our cut plate. I still got debris on my plate from using it last time. Okay, there's my two plates. And lay that on like that. Put a cover plate over it, and there it goes. Crank it through. And we'll need that back in just a minute, but for right now, we are going to cut one of those. And then we're going to cut out of white. I'm thinking of doing the shimmery white, and I think it matches the embossing powder a lot better. So we're going to cut this out here. See a little piece inside this one, but I think it's going to be okay. We're going to go ahead and put this one like right here, and I'm going to try taping them down with the same one. I think that'll work, and that will go through there. We're going to cut this off. I'm going to just use my scissors, and I'm going to cut this piece off about here and about here. And then I think that will be fine to push through. So we got our amazing U right there. Bring our little Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine back over. Let's see. One of my words slipped, and I want to make sure that I'm getting all of it on here, so I'm going to turn this like that. I'm going to tape this one down here and this one down here. I think that will be better. Now we should be able to get those through with no problem. Pull that off. Now see what I'm talking about with my plate. See how I can press that down and it's got a little bit of a bow up. See how it's bowing up? The minute you notice your plate's doing that, your bottom cut plate, flip it over. And always dedicate one plate to your cut plate. And this plate, every time you use it, flip it over. And your plates will stay nice and flat. They will not curl up on you like they will. If you follow that recipe all the time, you will not have a problem with your plates ever curling on you. Took me a while to learn that little trick, but once I did, I find that the best way to get my pieces out. And then if I have any excess little pieces, I just pop them out like that. And now we're ready to bring over our shadow. And this is going to go on here just like that. And that's going to look amazing on this medallion piece. So we're going to put amazing U just like that. But before we can do anything, we've got to glue these together. So we're going to put amazing U on the front of this, but let's go ahead and I'm going to grab a silicone craft sheet. And I'm going to turn over my amazing to the back side and grab my glue bottle. And I'm just going to tap little bits of glue all along. Something like that, and then I'm going to grab not my heat emboss tweezers, but I have another pair of fine tweezers that I use for things like this. So I'm going to pick that up right there, and I'm going to bring my amazing over, And I am going to lay this onto that piece using my tweezers and my fingers to get this set down just where I want it. And you can move it because you do have a little wiggle room with that glue that you don't have with others. And see how pretty that looks? Isn't that gorgeous? And you've got that little shadow behind it. So now we're going to do the same thing for the U. We're going to turn it over and just some little drops of glue. Just like that. I'm going to pick that up and bring this over, and we're going to set it down just like so. And Amazing You is ready. Now if you want to build this up a little more, you can put some more behind it to make it raise, but I don't think we need it. And I don't plan on doing it with this one. So I'm going to lay that over because I need to clean that glue off of that before I get it on something else that it doesn't belong on. We're going to put Amazing You. Try to decide where I want it. If I want it up to the top. No, I really kind of want it across here. I think I want it down to the bottom just a little bit. Like that. Now this is where we can add a little more dimension by using our mini Stampin' Dimensionals. Now these are tiny, and a lot of times they will fit without having to cut them or anything. They'll fit right in these little grooves and places, and this will hold this on perfectly. I have a couple more on here. So we need one right there. One right here. One here. And let's see if we can get one maybe right there. I think that'll be good, and I'm gonna use these to pull these off with. These are really sharp, and they will definitely take those little backers off for me. And I think those are all nice and sticky now, so we can do Amazing. Let's turn this one over, and we're going to need, oh, we got another one right here. Our little mini Stampin' Dimensionals come in so handy. I've heard some of the demonstrators, that was before my time. I've been in Stampin' Up since February before the pandemic. So that was in 2020, February of 2020. So I've celebrated 3 years on Valentine's Day this year. So it was my 3-year anniversary with Stampin' Up. But I'll have 3 years under my current upline, which is Brandy Cox, come August of this year. So I went in under someone else who I wasn't happy with, and I changed my mind and flipped, and I ended up with Brandy, and I couldn't be happier. That card is stunning. I don't know if you are seeing the beauty of this as much as I am, but I think it's gorgeous. So what I'm going to do for the inside, I want a piece of Balmy Blue. So I'm going to take a piece of balmy blue and I'm going to cut this down. We're going to cut it to 4 inches by 5 1/4. And then we need a white piece that we're going to cut down. To 3 3/4. By 5. And this is where we're going to put our happy birthday. And I found graceful tiles that said, "What a year. Here's to another one just as great. Happy birthday." I love that sentiment. So we're going to use that one. And we are going to make this a happy birthday card, and I think I'm going to stamp that with the Starry Sky. Since we're putting this against a balmy blue background, I think this one will be perfect. So we're going to open that up. I'm going to straighten that up, and hopefully I've got this nice and straight. And go ahead and pick that up and ink it. And then set it down right here. Giving it a minute to transfer. Just like that. And now we are going to close that ink pad up, because y'all know me. I can get my fingers in ink pads quicker than anybody. Let's put this back up here. And then we're going to go ahead and glue this down to the back. And I'm just going to use some liquid glue. Just like that. Get a nice little border all the way around. And then we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to put just a line of glue around our edges. And bring that over and lay it down, center it up, square it off, y'all know the deal, and then press it down. What a beautiful birthday card. Amazing You. Ah, I love it. I love it. I love it. I think this is so pretty. Now we are going to use some of those pearls on it, so let me grab those pearls, because I think this is really going to set this card crazy. And you know, if we needed them darker, we could definitely ink them with one of our blends. But I don't think we're going to need that. Let's get our Take Your Pick tool. And I'm going to put one right here. And one right here. I think we need one right there in the middle. And let's do one here. here. I love this card. I think it's so gorgeous. Look at what those pearls did. Love it, love it, love it. Love it. I hope y'all have enjoyed watching me make this card as much as I have enjoyed making it. It has been such a pleasure to get this card designed and watch it come to life. And I am thrilled with the way it turned out. I will probably be making some more of these with some different sentiments on them. I can think of so many different sentiments that would be beautiful across the front of this card, and I think it's the perfect card. Let me zoom y'all in so you can actually see the beauty of this. So I'm gonna, oops, there we go, right about there. Isn't that pretty? So pretty. So thanks so much for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope that this will be a card that you would like to make. All of the supplies that I used are available at my online store. You can go there on the project sheet, the PDF tutorial that will be on my blog. You can find all the numbers for everything that I used, and it's very easy. There'll be a link to my store there as well, and if you're interested in any of these, from the dies to the stamp set to the papers and the inks, it'll all be there for you, for your information, and for you to be able to go and purchase if you like. And as I always say in closing, let everything that you do and say bring glory to Jesus. It is all about Him. And until we craft again, God bless and keep you. Bye-bye.